So we've just been with the Green Space team at Lightwater Country Park, and we're now on our way to Chobham. I'm with Russell Lister, who's part of Neighbourhood Services at Surrey Heath Borough Council. What sort of areas does your department cover?
Well, basically we're environmental health. So you've got the commercial team that look after all the food premises, restaurants, and make sure there's everyone's safe to eat. You've got the noise team.
So food hygiene.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The pollution team deal with noise, smoke, some antisocial behaviour. Okay. I work in the waste team, which obviously most of the work that we do involves making sure the rubbish is picked up and the recycling is collected and recycling's improved. And I deal with kind of like the more antisocial aspects of waste, things like fly tipping, littering, dog fouling, that sort of thing. Okay,
so and of course there's been a big campaign recently on dog fouling. What was the strap line? The dog poo fairy. That was it. The dog poo fairy.
Well, there's no such thing as the dog poo fairy.
That's it.
Just trying to encourage dog owners to be more responsible, pick up after their dogs, and obviously get the message across that it's not just dog bins that you can put dog fouling in, but in fact any bin will do, whether it's a dog bin, street litter bin, or even your bin at home. You can put it in the refuse bin, and then it'll be taken away by the bin men. Right, so we're on our way to Chobham now. To a fly tipping incident. Is that right? Indeed. We've had quite a spate of fly tips over the past few months. We've always had the odd one. Predominantly it's green waste that gets tipped, but we're getting a lot of building waste. Looks really commercial, and some really big tips. Right. I mean, I notice it. It doesn't come under the borough of Surrey Heath, but I notice it routinely on my way to Guildford in the morning on Cobbett Hill Lane, there where the Earth Station is. Okay. And people, they're clearly just opening the van doors in the early hours of the morning and dumping it. Indeed. And is that because commercial waste is expensive to get rid of? It is. I mean, waste that goes to landfill these days is generally expensive to get rid of. Landfill taxes have been increasing year on year for a good number of years now, but it's no excuse to be dumping it in the highway. Green waste, I know, is not as expensive to get rid of. If you think about sort of like a typical flatbed wagon that a typical landscape gardener would use. I know you can get rid of loads of green waste for as little as £25 a load. So there really is no excuse then? No excuse whatsoever. The more commercial stuff that we seem to be getting these days, it just looks like builders that are trying to save a bob or two. And even builders that don't seem to be aware they have what's called a duty of care. Any waste that they produce, it's their responsibility to make sure that it's disposed of correctly and safely. And by paying a man with a van who's just perhaps driving around looking for waste, canvassing, and for them to be charged £60–70 for 2 or 3 tonnes, they're getting a good deal, but they must know that that's not going to go to landfill. So what are the penalties if you caught fly tipping? There isn't a maximum penalty for fly tipping now. The maximum fine was £50,000, right? But it's now unlimited, and it could also carry a prison sentence of up to 5 years. But how do you actually catch people doing it? That must be very, very difficult. That's very, very difficult. Most of the fly tipping that goes on is going to be going on at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning
on secluded country lanes.
Indeed.
Yeah.
They're unlit, they're quiet, not a lot of traffic going down them, and
we have plenty of those in Surrey Heath, don't we?
Yeah, especially we're on our way to Chobham now, and I mean I'd say that fly tipping is almost prolific in and around Chobham. You're getting similar tips in the same places week after week.
So if it's in the same places, is it not possible to maybe install some covert cameras and see if we can get the vehicle indexes of some of the offenders involved?
That's funnily enough, I've been talking to a colleague at Surrey Wildlife Trust this morning. That we're hoping to get basically pull some resources. Obviously from my point of view, it's something that I've got to go to my superiors about, to talk about funding for that sort of thing. That's
because it must be quite distressing for local residents as well to see that in the middle of the street. And
this got to be, I mean, I find it distressing.
So look at this. I mean, so what, Russell? What will you do about this?
To the best of my ability, have a rummage through it, then we'll see if we can find any evidence that we can use to trace where it's come from.
So Russell and I were just filming the fly tip here, and a local resident stopped to ask us what we were up to. Do you want to just repeat what you said to me?
Yes, I'd like to know how the local residents seem to know that they'll be dumping on a particular night, a misty night, and the council doesn't. And nobody ever seems to be prosecuted for this.
Right.
And I have this joke with my children when I take them to school, that I wonder what we're going to see on the side of the road today. And this morning we had the joke, and what you see just there was dumped last night.
Okay, as a local resident who sees this stuff routinely, what do you think the council could do about it?
Well,
to catch these people?
I think they could possibly have somebody late in the evening, early mornings, doing a spot check around. I believe there were notices that there were CCTV cameras.
Right.
But I'm unaware if that was.
So do you think CCTV might help in identifying these people?
Possibly, yes.
Some covert CCTV.
And I've seen that on a programme before, that they're in Coke cans, etc. And it is such a regular occurrence here that I can't believe you cannot catch them.
Right. Well, that's interesting feedback, which we'll put on our short film here, and obviously be fed back to the council. But an interesting idea that I think perhaps should be explored. So I'm pretty certain there's more to it than just being able to mount a camera and all the rest of it. I know that there's all sorts of legislation involved in doing that, but where there's a will, there's a way. And if the residents of Chobham, where clearly this is a problem, then if the residents of Chobham want that to happen, then perhaps the council might listen to you. Another local resident has just stopped by to see us while we're clearing this rubbish here, and Russell's searching through to see if he can find any clues as to where this stuff might have come from. What do you think about what you're seeing here?
It's mind-blowing what people will do just to save 20 quid or whatever it is to take it to a rubbish dump. They just dump it on a public road, and well, this is just about infringing on the road, and it's, besides an environmental disaster, it's a health and safety hazard, big time.
And do you see this a lot round here?
Oh, at least one of these piles every day, if not two.
Is that right?
Yes. Unbelievable.
And what do you think, in your mind, is the answer? How do you think that we might be able to catch these people?
Well, I mean, Russell's having a good go. Cameras mounted, but they would be probably pushed over. hidden cameras, stakeouts,
Right.
something and then to make an example of these people.
Whoever's caught. Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Thanks for that feedback, which we'll feed back to the council. So we're just going from one fly tipping incident to another one, which is literally just a few hundred yards away.
Yeah, it's just round the corner.
There was a lot of interest there from local residents who stopped to talk to us. Two even went on camera, you know, with some ideas on how they thought that they might, how the council might be able to deal with it. I mean, do you think that they're viable ideas?
Yeah, definitely. The same sort of thing that I'd like to be able to do. As I said earlier, it's something that some sort of like partnership organisations.
Yeah.
We were talking about exactly that this morning.
Ah, right. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
As you can see here, instead of just dumping it in the lay-by here, they've actually destroyed a gate, a rather substantial gate.
Let's have a look at that. So yeah, so in order to carry out their fly tipping, they've actually destroyed this gate in the process. How do you think they've done that? What, do you think they've actually ran it over?
I don't know if they perhaps tied a tow rope or something to it and
yeah, because that's what you can see where that's outrageous. So when do you think that this one was dumped? And why have they gone to so much trouble to smash down that gate and put it here? Why don't they just stick it in the main road?
I've no idea. I don't know if it's just an act of wanton vandalism.
Or do you think it's because they thought that if they're off the road here that no one's going to see them?
I can't imagine unless this is. I mean, this looks like it's come straight off the back of a tipper lorry, so it's been tipped here as opposed to placed. So if they were looking for, you know, somewhere where they needed to take time,
yeah.
But I'm sure it must have taken longer to destroy that gate,
yeah, than
it did to actually tip this. I know there's obviously a few bits that have spilled off, but it's fairly neat. If this had been put here by hand, it would just be all over the place.
If anybody who's seeing this film recognises this waste, you've got a seriously dodgy builder.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to contact the council.
Yeah. It's the builder's responsibility to dispose of this. Like I said earlier, they've got their duty of care, and even if they've just paid, you know, someone passing said, I'll get rid of that for your mate for 50 quid, you know, they know that you can't get rid of this sort of amount of rubbish for that sort of money. So, you know, whether it's the fly tipper or wherever the waste originated from, you know, they're liable.
Yeah, not the person who's paid them. Hey.
No, not the householder.
No.
Unless, of course, it's the householder that's done it. But
let's just let me just focus in on some of this because there's a door here that if a local resident recognises with the, you know, they might, if you recognise these doors with these markings on. There's some children's stuff here as well, some children's clothes.
Blow up mattress.
A blow up mattress. You know, if you do recognise this, please get in touch with the council.